Hey everyone, welcome. It's been a long time. I am still around. I'm still here. We're still hot-shotting. I have not done an episode in a while, and I'm gonna get back into it. I promise. I'm going to get back into it because there's been a lot of new stuff popping up. So, been out on the road this time a long time. Today is the 28th or 29th. I've been out on the road since the 6th. Took a long time off for Christmas, so I've got to make it up. I want to talk to you guys today. We're not doing numbers. We're not doing anything. We're just going to talk. I'm going to kind of lay out. It's a new year, so we're going to do an episode, and I'm going to lay out what a few things we're going to talk about in the coming up weeks. I'm going to get back into trying to make one of these a week, and then here's a lot of topics we're going to talk about. In fact, I'm going to write down here one we're going to add, and I'm going to kind of breeze through a couple of the things we're going to do in the upcoming weeks. And then I'm going to talk to you about what we're going to talk about today. So first, what's coming up? Okay. My cost per mile calculator. It's been done. It's done. I got to get home. I got to do that one at home. It's on my computer, but it's going to be way easier to do it on my home computer to do the walkthrough. The cost per mile calculator is going to be huge, I think, for you guys. One, it proves my hypothesis that renting a truck is about the same price as owning, if not a little cheaper. And two, it's very simple to use. You're gonna have to watch my video on it, so you make sure you put the right data in, but it's pretty easy to use. I'm going to be making that available for anyone to use. You don't have to. There's other ones out there. But if anyone wants to use it, I think it's going to be a good tool. I'm going to send Doug Fuller his hat. Doug Fuller won the hat, and we're going to start a new hat competition. Haven't decided what the new hat competition is going to be. Actually, I have an idea. One of my episodes, I'm going to be on Facebook on Hotshot Warriors and do a live video. I can't do live videos yet on YouTube for some reason. When I can, I'll do this a few times. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to post a video looking out the front of my truck while I'm driving live, and we'll rock out. It'll probably be nighttime, and first person to figure out where I'm at in the U.S. we'll give them a free hat. So that'll be the next hat one. Doug, I haven't forgotten about you. I'm even late on my employees' Christmas presents. I still haven't sent them out. I've been gone. I mean, I just haven't had time. I haven't been home to be able to do that type of thing. So, okay. Proof rental is the way to go. I'm going to do an episode that gets into the nitty gritty, the numbers. We're going to be going to the glass, and we're going to actually prove that I believe renting is the way to go. And then I'm going to do a couple episodes on some cool loads I did. One was delivering some World War II stuff to this museum that hasn't even opened out in Wyoming. So we're going to talk about that, or just do a little video on it. I got to tour the inside of this thing. Crazy place. Got over 400 World War II like tanks, and they all drive. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like he's got a Panzer in there and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. So that's going to be a video, and then I'm also going to do a video on the Walcott I-80 Trucking Museum. If you guys haven't been there, it's pretty cool as well. Really, a lot of old trucks. Pretty cool thing to walk through, and we'll do a video on that. The other thing that I'm going to talk about in one of these videos is I'm not going to name names. I'm not going to talk about it today, but we will talk about it. There's been some hotshotters, YouTubers, that have gone away. Okay, they're no longer on YouTube. I'm not going to divulge what's been going on. If some of you watch them, some of them have said why they left, some haven't, but they've disappeared. And this just goes to my what I've told you guys before about how Facebook and YouTube are awful things. I know I'm on here, but they're awful things to use to base all of your decisions on, because you only see the success stories. This job is not for everyone. There are a lot of people that start this that shouldn't be. Obviously, again, I always say this, 80% failure rate in this industry in the first year. There's a lot of people starting this that shouldn't be, okay? And we're going to talk about a little bit about that today, not the specifics on these people that have gone away, but the point being they're now gone. If you haven't watched their videos and followed them, you'll never know, right? They don't, it goes back to nobody posts this big video about how they failed and how they're going out of business and how it sucks, and nobody posts that. So I want to talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. Not a whole lot. We'll talk more in a future one. So today we've got a few topics. The first thing we're talking about is road trip update. That's a little bit about us, where we're at, kind of that type of thing. Going to put a little want ad out as well on here. Running a business. Okay. I have this one in here because I have running a business versus truck driver. This goes back up to that 80% fail thing. Our rate per mile is stupid. Rate per mile is stupid. Okay? I want to make that very, very clear, and we'll talk about why it is the stupidest thing you can measure by. The especially loaded rate per mile is mainly what I'm talking about here. You need to know your rate per mile, but nobody's calculating the rate per mile they actually need to know. Planning. This kind of goes in the business plan. We've talked about this before, but I'm just going to touch base. And then running cheap. Those are topics we're going to talk about today. So the first one, road trip update, very briefly. We're still here. We're still running. I am going to be getting out of the truck in March. Okay? So I'm putting out a want ad right now, basically on YouTube. I don't necessarily need a truck driver. I've had a good experience with one of my drivers. He was not a truck driver. I can train you how to drive. I can train you my equipment. You're going to go out with me for 2-3 weeks, as long as we need to teach you. I can get you your CDL. There will be a stipulation if you want to do that. I am going to require you work for me for 2 years, or you've got to pay me back I've some form of compensation for the training, but I have to do that. Otherwise, I'm basically going to turn into a free trainer for people so they can go work for someone else. Okay. Then I really need you to be based out of. You don't need to live near me. We're based out of Theodore, Alabama, Mobile, Alabama area. But you will need to start and end your trips there. I'm very flexible when it comes to away time. I do need a minimum 2 to 3 weeks at a time. And then I base your home time based on how long you're gone. So it's not a set rule, but essentially you're going to get, for every 2 weeks on, you get about 5 days off, 6, somewhere in there. For every 3 weeks on, you're going to get, a solid 7, 8, 9 days off, somewhere, as much in that range. If you want to work 2 months, you can take a month off. I mean, there's different work schedules, the way you want to work. Unfortunately, I know people say that they're successful running day trips, and I'm sure you could be if you have a direct customer. We can't. We cannot do it. It's very, very problematic to get people home. Deadheading kills you in this industry, and I think a lot of that 80% that's failing are the ones that are home in bed every night. I really do. There's people that are successful doing it. I'm not saying there isn't, but I don't think it's a lot. My opinion there. Okay, so we're still here. We still have 3 trucks running. They're all 3 enterprise trucks. We're going to talk about that. The enterprise deal is working extremely, extremely well. There's been little hiccups here and there, but those guys up there in Elkhart have been fantastic working through them. We've had some issues with maintenance. Because Enterprise is putting beds on our truck, so we're registered as tractors. Firestones and Goodyears have stopped servicing them. Basically, the guys in the service department, long story short, they don't understand the difference between gross vehicle weight rating and what a vehicle actually weighs. And none of them will work on them because they say they all weigh 14,000 pounds. They don't weigh 14,000 pounds. So we've had some snafus with that, and then we had to start. So I can't take time running around town to 14 different locations trying to find someone to service my truck. So, but again, Enterprise is working with us to try to get all that figured out. So still the way to go in my opinion. Okay. I want to touch base on this. If you are, and you know what, we'll talk about this because that's part of running cheap. So that's where we're at financially. I'm not going to get into the nitty gritty details, but we did okay. I finally was able to pay myself once. We're doing okay. We're not where I want to be, but we're also not worst case scenario. So we're kind of in that same boat. I have high hopes for moving forward. But yeah, so we're doing okay. Nothing stellar. We're not blowing things out of the water. We're not grossing $500,000 per truck per year. We're not doing anything crazy like that. Okay. So let's move into running a business. And then I want to touch base on this because I truly believe it. I think there are a ton of you guys, and this is not, I hate that I have to say this. This is not a bad thing. But there are a lot of people that are truck drivers. They're not business owners. And I'm not saying that putting down truck drivers or business owners. They're equal. My point being, there are fantastic truck drivers out there that are way better than I am. That can take trucks, and I was just watching a guy drift a YouTube video of a dude drifting completely around in the snow, completely around a cul-de-sac or a roundabout multiple times in a semi. There are guys that can drive semis. There are guys that are very, 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 very good million mile drivers, but they would never be good at running a business. And I think, and there's this weird blurring of that line in this industry. If you have a truck and trailer and your own authority, you're running a business. You're basically no longer a truck driver, you're a business owner. And there are a lot of different things that go into that. And I think that's why a lot of people fail. It's one of the reasons why my business plan has me getting out of this truck. And I can tell you firsthand, I can't do it. I cannot. You can tell I'm tired right now. I just had a long day. It's 11 o'clock. I picked up in Michigan, and I'm on my way to, I think I'm in New York now. Just got into New York. I'm on my way to Providence. Or not Providence. Somewhere in Massachusetts. I can't remember. And I'm tired. And I still have work to do. And, and that's one of the reasons I haven't done these videos. I'm just getting exhausted doing this. And the main reason why is everything I do is times 3. Every time I invoice, I'm not just invoicing for me, I'm invoicing for 2 other trucks. I've got to try to find loads for those 2 other trucks, so I have a dispatcher that I got to keep on top of. I've got invoices 3 times the amount of invoices I got to run. I have, queries that I have everything that comes with employees. All this payroll, all of this stuff I have to do and run this business. I can't do it. Okay. I'm sure there's people that can. I know a lot of people that can, but there are certain people that have grown so fast and they're truck drivers, and there's nothing wrong with that, but they grow so big and they want to stay in their truck, and too many things fall through the cracks. The next thing they know, they're broke. Okay. So my opinion on that. That's all it is. It's my opinion. And it was what I planned for, and I'm really starting to realize that this is going to burn me out if I couldn't add another driver and keep doing this and keep driving at this point. It would burn me out. Absolutely. So say what you will about that, but all I've been doing since the 6th, the only day I took off, the only day that I actually took off and didn't do hardly any work. And I say hardly because I still got on my computer, checked for some loads. I think I did a couple invoices. Was when 2 weekends ago, I was shut down because I-80 was shut down, and I got a cheap hotel room and I watched football. That was the only time I've not been basically either driving, working on my computer, doing all sorts of business related stuff, or sleeping. That's it. It's exhausting. It's very exhausting. I don't even get to enjoy a meal. Anytime I go into a restaurant and enjoy a meal, I eat out once or twice a week. That's my time to sit down and do invoices. I'll sit in the restaurant I don't even get to enjoy the meal. I'm working on invoices while I'm eating. Okay. So my point is, this is hard work. You're a business owner, and you have to think of it like that. My opinion on it. Rate per mile is stupid. I've been looking forward to talking about this. Quit worrying about rate per mile. I don't care what it paid per mile, loaded mile. I don't care that it paid $4 per mile, $5 per mile. I know a lot of people are making $4 to $5 per mile and they're going out of business. Okay? Rate per mile is the stupidest thing to measure by. If you see a Facebook post or a YouTube video saying I made $4 a mile on this load and that's all they say, ignore it. It's the dumbest metric to measure by. $4 a mile on a 50-mile load is crap. That is a horrible, awful load. We wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. $4 a mile on a load going from Baltimore to California, that's a phenomenal load. You're making 12 grand. Rate per mile is the stupidest thing to measure your success by. I don't care. I've hauled loads that have paid $150 a mile. $150 a mile. Why? Because it paid me $600 and went 4 miles. Okay? That is the dumbest metric to measure by. I don't care about loaded rate per mile. If you want to impress me about a load, tell me what the load paid, how many miles it went, and how far you had to go to pick up that load from your last one. That's what I want to know. Don't brag about partials. I'm going to get into that one. Partials, if you're again, this is opinion time, and I'm going off on a little tangent here, but I'm very passionate about this. I have learned a lot in this past year. Not a ton. I'm not an expert, but I've learned a lot. And one of those things I've learned is if you are partialing with a hot shot, stop. Go buy a real truck. If your game is partialing, where this theory came that you gotta run partials with hot shots, stop doing it. Partialing with hot shots is the dumbest thing to do. Why? Because partialing is about maximizing the amount of loads for the most amount of money on your truck. Well, you're limited. You can haul less than half of what a big truck can do. So if your game is partialing, why make $2 a mile total on 3 loads when you could put 2 more loads on there and make $3 a mile with a big truck? Stupid. Okay? My opinion, I'm getting very passionate about this because I see it all the time. People's flexing about these partial loads. Partials are stupid in a hot shot. They don't work. I've been trying to make them work. I've done partials 4 times, 5 times. I'm a little bit, yes. Okay. Let's back up here for a second because I understand there's some people that are successful with it. But if you're successful partialing with a hot shot and you're good at it, you'd be twice as successful with a big truck. If you're good at it and you're making a lot of money with a hot shot, you'd be twice as good. And don't give me this. I'm so sick of seeing, big trucks couldn't get in where I can get. Now, let's back up. If you're dealing with if you got a direct customer and they have one specific location and you got one truck with a short trailer, that's one thing. Our trucks are just as long. Most people run a hot shot are pulling 40-foot trailers. We are 67, 68 foot long. A Freightliner with a 53-foot flatbed is 72, 73. He's not much longer. And any skilled truck driver can get a semi into 99% of the places you can get a hotshot truck into with a 40-foot trailer. There's the occasional 1%, and someone's going to go, okay, there's an occasional 1%. 99.9% of the time, a good truck driver can get his truck. My dad could get his semi, his 53-foot reefer trailer with his Pete 379 in every place that I've been. Everyone. That is a silly argument for these, except for the rare occasion, okay? And I always have to say that, one rare occasion. I'm sorry I got passionate about this, but I see so many people and they don't realize that they're losing money. They don't calculate partials correctly. Go watch my episode on, it's called Partials Are Painful. It perfectly explains how to calculate partials. I guarantee you most of you guys are doing them wrong. And again, if your game is partialing, we'll partial, but it's very rare, and it usually happens when we have a load that's paying full truckload rate that they say it's okay to partial, so we make more money on top of it. If you're going to partial and that's your game, maximize your partial ability. Get a 53-foot step deck behind an actual semi and partial 45,000 pounds worth of stuff. You can make so much money. Okay, I'm going to do another video. I didn't have that in here. I'm going to do another video showing you how much more money you could make if partialing is your game with a big truck. And like I said, if you're good at partialing and you're doing it with a hot shot, go get a big truck. You'll be twice as successful. It doesn't make any sense. Okay, I'm done with that. Sorry, got a little heated off topic. Rate per mile is stupid. All right. Now, rate per mile matters, but what matters is what I call true rate per mile. True rate per mile is at the end of the year or the end of the month. I don't care, whatever you want to do. You write down your odometer reading at the beginning of that month, and you write down your odometer reading at the end of the month. And you take how much money you grossed in that time. You take the amount of money you grossed in that time, you divide it by the amount of miles, and you'll get exactly what your rate per mile is. Why? Why is this important? Because that load that paid $6 a mile going 20 miles doesn't make any sort of impact on that number. Especially if you deadheaded 50 miles, 60 miles, 70 miles to go get it. Deadhead miles are important, okay? So the loaded rate per mile, quit bragging about it, quit worrying about it. You need to know it, okay? And I get a little worked up. You have to know your loaded rate per mile. Why? Because you got to know what the lane rate is. And the lane rate, I've talked about it before. If you have questions, I can talk about it again. But you got to know what the lane rate is. The lane rate out of Colorado east is probably $1.50. The lane rate coming out of Michigan going to the East Coast is probably $3. Okay. You need to know what the lane rate is, and you need to know if that load's paying what it should be paying. But you don't need to worry about rate per mile when it completely. There's so many other factors. $3. Okay. From Michigan to the East Coast might be $3. From Michigan to Michigan, the lane rate might be $8 a mile because it's short. Okay, so shorter loads should pay more. You get to a point. We have a point, and that is $800. Basically, is the cutoff. I've made exceptions for that very, very rarely. $800 is about our cutoff. Where if we're taking a load, it's got to pay us pretty close to that, unless I know it's basically taking me to a load we're trying to make $800 to $1,200 a day. And if I'm taking a 200-mile load for $400, I'm nowhere near that, and I'm going to burn most of night. That was weird. It looks like it maximum file size reach or something. I don't know. Okay, sorry. Little. I'll calm down now. But stop worrying about that, guys. Loaded rate per mile means squat. What matters is the total rate per mile that your truck is making. Because your cost per mile includes all miles. You need to figure out how much you're making per mile, including all miles. All right? And the last thing, we're going to skip planning for now. I was going to talk a little bit about that, but we're going to skip that. Where we're going to go to is running cheap. Okay? There are two reasons. I'm going to make a huge disclaimer here, a massive disclaimer. This is my opinion. This is 100% my opinion. I'm not there. I know there are people that are successful not following these opinions. Okay, so use them as you will. Don't take them as gospel. But here is my opinion on this. If you are going to run loads for cheap, by that I mean under lane rate. So essentially, if you're going to haul hot shot loads and you're going to haul full truck loads, like I got a full truck load on right now. It's 17,000 pounds, but it's an FTL. It's paying a full truckload rate. It was actually above the lane rate by $400. So, it started at 200. I talked him up. So, if you're going to take freight for $1 a mile, $1.10 a mile in a lane rate that's paying $280, $290, you have negated the whole benefit of what we're doing. The whole thing is that I can operate cheaper than a big truck. I'll try to prove it to you guys. Some people say that's bogus. I think it probably is if you bought a truck, and that'll lead into my next opinion. But with this rental program, we're running cheaper than a big truck. I've got a big truck to compare it against, and we're running cheaper. So we have a lot of trade-offs. Got to sleep in a pickup is one of the big ones. A lot harder to find freight. So if you're running cheap, then and that advantage is pulled away, go get a big truck. And there's nothing wrong with that. Go get a big truck and have a much easier time of it. Okay, you're making the same amount of money. So, only 3 reasons in my mind to do this. 1, you run for cheaper than a big truck, but you're taking big truck rates, so you're making more money. 2, you rent the trucks. I don't believe in, again, a lot of people are going to disagree with me here. I don't think these trucks are built for what we do. Non-CDL, I'll talk a little, I don't know a lot of guys are running non-CDL. That's not as abusive on your truck. You're only grossing ever 26,000 pounds. Really, you only ever have behind you maybe 19,000 total. That's a lot easier on these trucks. That's, they're more designed to do that. What we're doing, no, they're just not designed for that. These trucks aren't going to last. Yes, again, I have to say it all the time. You're going to get the one guy that made his truck last 500,000 miles, 600,000 miles. But I know, and there's a YouTube guy that bought a brand new truck and it put him out. I mean, these trucks are just not designed to be doing what we're doing, okay? Hauling this weight all the time. They're designed to haul this weight, but they're designed to hook up to it and pull a fifth wheel down to the sand dunes for the weekend and then come back, and then it's daily drove the rest of the time. They were never designed to be commercial vehicles pulling loads like an over-the-road truck. So that is why I don't think buying these things makes sense. They're just not designed for it. We've had problems with ours, and every one we get is brand spanking new, and they've been in the shops. I mean, the first Ram we had went in the shop 4 times. If I'd been paying for those, it'd been $4,000, and I'd probably about $4,000. In fact, I'm working on actually getting how much in maintenance Enterprise spent on it, so I can compare it to what we rented, to our rental. So, again, those are my opinions. We're gonna wrap this up because it got a little long, but it's my first one since we're being back, or since for a while. The reasons to do Hot Shot: you're not gonna run cheap freight. If you're gonna run cheap freight, go get a big truck. There's the main advantage is I can net more money to my pocket than with big truck hauling the loads that pay the same. If you're not going to do that, which is a lot harder work, go get a big truck. Number 2, you're not buying these trucks. Now, if you're going to buy one, and I know a lot of people do, buy a 4,500 or a 5,500 or a 450 or a 550. Don't buy a 350. They're just a little bit designed better for it. Yes, they're less power. They do that for a reason. They're detuned so that they last longer. The turbos aren't spinning 22 pounds of boost all day long every day or whatever the heck we run it. So, don't, that's my opinion. That's a one that a lot of people will argue with me, and I know there's 2 sides. Me personally, if Enterprise ever pulled the plug, you would never see me walk into a Ford or Ram dealership to go buy one of these things and do this. Never. If I would continue doing it, which I have a backup plan, I'm not going to get into details, I would get a medium duty truck, an actual truck, a Freightliner, Class M2 106 with like a 9-liter Detroit. You can go pick them things up for $70,000 brand new as a day cab. Go put a $9,000 Roadrunner, really nice sleeper on the back, and boom, you've got a truck that's actually going to last. Doing what we're doing. So, yeah, it's my opinion. Again, some people get mad at me, whatever. I apologize, but, well, I really don't care. This is my channel. It's the way I'm running the business, okay? So there you go. Kind of an update. Long video today, but we're getting back into it. We'll shorten them up as we get back into it. So thank you all for watching. Hopefully I didn't make it too many people mad, and we'll talk to you later.